from Los Angeles. Welcome to Good Morning La La Land. I'm Dr. Erin.
Hi, I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jasmine Moyer. This is Good Morning La La Land, America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Now also available on Apple TV and Roku. And it's hashtag Transformation Tuesday in the house today.
That's right. We're going to talk about transforming your life through service. Something that has definitely transformed my life for sure.
I love it. Transformation Tuesday. Who we got, Jez?
Absolutely. We have two very, very special guests in the house. I am so excited to welcome Ms. Shanna Ferrigno. Good morning, Shanna.
Good morning.
I'm so excited to see you today. Also, we've got Craig Cochran. Hello, sir.
Hi.
Two of the most stylish looking guests, I dare say, we've ever had.
Transformation
Wow.
experts.
I brushed my hair.
Absolutely. So here on Good Morning La La Land, we like to know, how do you start your day? What's your morning routine like? Ladies first.
I start my day by putting my feet on the floor because I usually wake up at 5 a.m. I prep my clothes beforehand, so it motivates me to get out of bed. I drink water to break a fast, because when you breakfast is breaking a fast. And then I have a lot of coffee. And then I get moving, and I keep going.
Break the fast.
Yes.
I never knew that.
Breakfast. Break fast.
It's like when I found out what Flo Rida was. Break fast. Oh my God. Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing. Craig, what about you? How do you start your day?
Well, it's not too dissimilar from what she just said, but it's basically, splash the face with water, some coffee, just get started, and then sometimes I'll go to the gym just to, get the blood pumping. Just feel good for the day.
Do you plan your outfits ahead?
No, I really don't. I think about fabrics a lot and design, but usually when I get ready in the morning, it's more about, I'll just look and I'll feel, I need to see something before I can choose. So once I see it, I'm like, yep, that's it for today. It's just a feeling,
Yeah, let yourself be inspired by the mood of the day.
Yeah. I never really plan it, so yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. We're excited to talk to you more later in the show.
So what's going on, Rob? What did you do yesterday? Let's you first.
I got nothing. I work.
You got nothing?
I work. But I love my work. So, but I work. I really just work.
When you say you work, Rob, what is it exactly that you do?
Yeah, so I basically talk to people over the phone or through video, and I help them solve problems. I'm a problem solver. Most of the problems are sort of reduced to just a couple. People usually want more happiness, more love, more money. Sometimes they want better health, right? And
so they want transformation.
They want transformation. So I'm really a transformation expert, just like you two.
Right.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I do.
I remember when I was going through kind of my subconscious work and a bunch of processes and modalities, and I remember having the huge epiphany that there is no such thing as a problem. And I think you can think of that, logically and whatever, but it's something that happens, like literally shifts within you. And I remember just being so freed up, where I was like, oh, anything I'm struggling with, that means there is an opportunity for me to grow. Like, where is that growth? And so instead of like going like, oh, I have this problem, or like, why can't I fix this or change this out there? Like, it was always about what's going on within me, and it was so liberating.
100%.
Yep.
100%. And I will never say that to a client.
Yeah,
Ever.
it's not
Because
you
you cannot, and you're absolutely right about that.
Totally
That at the end of the day, that's really all the work I'm doing is like removing the veil over and over again, like removing this idea that there are problems and that they're simply just opportunities to be addressed or not. But yeah, it's a difficult thing to say to someone who says, I've got this problem, help me, you problem solver.
There's no such thing as problem.
No. But the interesting thing is, Rob, is you have such an eloquent and articulate way of helping people realize that for themselves without having to say it.
I appreciate that,
That's true.
Jasmine. Yeah.
I've heard him a lot on the phone.
I appreciate that.
Good.
Well, it's interesting because I definitely have to mirror that back to you, Jesslyn. You're so great with people. Have you not noticed?
This is
Have you noticed though? You're really good with that.
Deep wax, you can't even take it.
I am.
You're
Thank
so
you,
good.
Rob.
I've heard you when you've been on the phone with clients, kind of in the background, not supposed to, but I've heard you just ask questions. That's all you do, which is really a brilliant way of letting them discover and come to their own epiphanies.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I know, and you would appreciate that because that's largely the work that you do too, right? Is ask great and powerful questions. And I remember hearing an expression like a long time ago that was essentially, the only thing that's freely given and never accepted is unsolicited advice. But even when people pay me for advice, they often don't want it.
Yeah. Well, the whole process of,
it's true.
of subconscious work is you do not ever talk, you only ask questions.
Yeah.
That's all that you do.
Let people discover their own truths, their own insights. Yeah.
So I just want to give a little shout out to Elena Nazaroff. She's been
Beautiful.
styling me. And if you've noticed, I have like some of the same clothes on and just like styled with a bunch of different things. So these beads, I actually made them years ago in Bali, and I had them actually blessed by the high priestess Adi Elite. What is her name? I want to make sure I get it right. Adi Rezi Elite. And they were taken through the holy water, and I just had this vision when I went down there. I bought all these beads, I had them all blessed, I designed them all and put them together, and I wore them kind of like throughout the years, but they mostly just hang there because I kind of go like through phases. So she pulled them all out, threw them on with a bunch of dresses, and I went, oh, I would never have thought of putting them with that dress. So
I love it, it's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah, and they look
So
incredibly high quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not like the ones I often buy that fall apart like the next week.
I'm excited to talk to our guest Craig about that because he's really mastered what it is to create a personal style and statement, and he really has a great conversation on his website about the influence you can make based on your first impression, and your accessories give you that ability whether you will or will not make influence on the people that you meet.
So true.
So you are certainly influencing Dr.
Yes.
Bennett right now.
And I also feel like it's one of the things that's coming out of the show is almost like a mission I have to repurpose clothes, like through secondhand designer stores. Like, how can we share each other's closet? I just feel like there's so much product and so many people. Like, we don't really need a bunch of more design lines. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, I've made it a mission to help focus on local designers that are based here in Los Angeles. I'm wearing Rochelle Goodrick today. She's been an incredible friend, designer, and style mentor really in my life, and she's got a great line, Renewal. You can shop it online. She's hailing all the way from New Zealand and based now here in Los Angeles. We've done some really cool editorials together. You can check her out on Instagram at Rochelle Goodrick or at mine to see some of her other designs.
Got some sick shots on there.
Shout out to her son, who's an incredible artist and photographer, obviously runs in the family.
Oh, I love that. So you guys, I went to Soho House last night, and I have to say that, I mean, I'm sure both of you guys have been to Soho House in West Hollywood, yeah?
Mm-hmm. We went,
so there was part of it that I've never been to. I didn't realize they have like these back rooms where they have different talks, different workshops, different things, and they have also a theater where they do obviously
all the screenings and everything.
I've never been in
itself.
there. Like it's in the back.
Velvet seats, any kind of
so
candy you could want. I mean, it's as like chic and shishi as it gets.
It's very chic. So I went there. There was a talk last night by this. It was a talk series called "Good is the New Cool," which couldn't agree more. But there was this genius man that they had on the panel. His name was Robert Egger, and he actually started DC Kitchen and LAKitchen.org. He has produced over 40 million meals for
40 million.
40 million meals. Okay, so this is so genius, you guys, because one, what they're doing is they're taking restaurant leftover food and they are bringing it to this kitchen and feeding, elderly, children in need, homeless, and so on and so forth.
Which is a huge mission because before in the past, because of legalities and insurance purposes, that food was not allowed to be repurposed.
Right? And so now Postmates is actually gotten involved, and because that's a problem. Like the restaurants are like, okay, cool, but what do we do? How do we package this? How do we get it there? It's like one more thing they have to do. So Postmates will actually just come pick it up from the restaurants. And Abbott Kinney actually is the first. They've actually gotten all the restaurants on board down there. And I guess from what I hear at Paris, this is like mandatory now. Like it's something like is happening globally. And what's so fascinating is he chose LA because number one, the homeless is like so prevalent, but the ageism. Ageism is a major, major issue in Los Angeles. And we have millions of baby boomers that are about to be homeless and about to be not able to get a meal because so few people have savings and they're having a tough time getting jobs. So this is like the tidal wave that no one wants to look at, and it's huge.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
It's humbling. To say the least.
It's incredible that a place like the Soho House is curating conversations like this that are really having a positive effect on the community. So huge special shout out for spreading that. And speaking of community, we here at Focus TV are community powered. We've had a lot of special guests in the house. We want to take a look at yesterday's rewind at a few of our favorite moments. and I'm manifesting motivation today. I have a hard case of the Mondays, hashtag Motivation Monday. You had the ability without the training to truly connect with countless celebrities, dictators. What is it, do you think about yourself that allows you to create that connection?
Well, you know, I look at everyone as someone exciting. I don't see class distinction, color distinction, anything. To me, everybody's everybody.
I think a lot of people really relate to an equal lifestyle right now, especially in Los Angeles.
And we love watching you on Snowfall.
From doing this show and, you know, the crack epidemic, and now in 2018 with the opioid health crisis, what I just really want everyone to understand, addiction is addiction.
Every day something goes wrong. It's just, you know, then everybody says, oh, you know, because the moon's in retrograde. To me, it seems like the moon's always in retrograde.
You know, I just want to send a big thank you to all of our guests who have dedicated their time and their talent to being with us here and sharing their light on Good Morning LaLaLand. It was an incredible show yesterday. I mean, Nikki Haskell, she's a pioneer. Yeah, a pioneer in broadcast television. Absolutely a fierce woman, and she doesn't want to do anything unless she can do it in high heels. Woman after my own heart. I've been so inspired and so great for her. You know, she welcomed us into her community. I'm really excited. She's repurposing, speaking of repurposing, some of the content that she created from Studio 54, you know, decades ago, and she's re-interviewing some of those celebrities. So stay tuned for that because it's going to be a very interesting series.
Yeah, she's a spitfire for
She sure is. She's awesome, and she's so positive. It's amazing.
She really
she's
is.
had an incredible life, and I'm sure she's had lots of ups and downs. But the fact that she's so resilient and so positive, to me, is so deeply inspiring.
Right, it is, gotta say.
And talk about Artsy Agnes, mastering an eco-friendly, socially responsible lifestyle right there, right?
Absolutely.
Beautiful group of women yesterday, for sure. So on that note, we're gonna talk about Transformation Tuesday, and we're actually going to just talk right now about it instead of going to second segment. So we want to talk about how you can transform your life through service. And there is a law, it's called the law of circulation. And the law of circulation basically is that there's an exchange of energy and there's a flow of giving and receiving. And so bottom line is this, it's like a vacuum. The universe is like a vacuum. So if you want change and you're feeling stuck and whatever, one of the greatest ways to have shift happen and transform is through giving, because when you give, there has to be an exchange, right? So there's things like that, like everything from giving, like say, clearing out your closet, giving it to, you know, people in your life that need that, or Goodwill or whatever it is, or giving your time, or giving whatever it is. So I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but of course you transform your life from just feeling so good from serving, but it actually energetically can transform your life.
I love that. I would say that, and I look at my life, the moments that I remember and cherish the most are when somebody has shared something with me, whether it's been information, it's been love, it's been happiness, it could be money, but when people have sort of shared from a place of without an expectation of reciprocity. I think that's a huge piece, like where are you sharing from? Because it's not just about what you're doing, it's more important, I think, more importantly about what you're being as you're doing.
Yeah, that's a really interesting approach to life, and especially in the career realm here in Los Angeles, is being able to offer your time and your talent to people in a way that you can contribute or collaborate. Keyword, right? Such a buzzword. Collaborate. Offer what you can. Don't ask for anything, especially if you're approaching a new relationship, whether it's, you know, in dating, a friendship, in your career, whatever it might be. See what you can do to better their lives. Give, 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 and then in turn you will receive tenfold.
And the universe doesn't always give it back from the same place that you gave it, right? So you've got to have non-attachment to that and just be open to receiving wherever it's
absolutely. It's like the story Erin told a couple months ago about the bracelets. The karma coin, and he mentioned your bracelets, and you're like, oh, but my favorite bracelets, I don't want to give you these. But my intuition is telling me I need to share these bracelets with them. And then what happened?
I don't know. What happened? I don't know.
It was like 3 years ago, right?
Rob was so kind. He gave us these My Intent bracelets, which was really special.
There you go.
So all these new bracelets with more deeper meaning entered your life, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you lost one and you got more.
You got more.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Let it go. Let it go.
Jez has a photographic memory.
I
You do
know,
realize
she
this.
does. I'm like, I don't know what happened.
It was a really interesting life lesson for me, I think, because for me, sometimes when I come from a place of scarcity or fear in my life, I hang on to what my possessions are rather than giving them freely. Although I'm an incredibly giving person, I think, ooh, but what if I can't get it again? I don't want to give away my, you know, my bracelet or my Louis Vuitton or whatever. God's telling me I should pass it on, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get it again, so I want to hang on.
It's such a great point, Jeslyn, and I think it is so much easier to give when you already feel abundant, like deeply abundant, right? Because then you're just giving from your overflow. And actually, it's just like a relief to give, because it's like you're lessening the burden on yourself when you're so abundant, when your life is so abundant. I remember for a long time like struggling with that whole idea of like scarcity, and then I had a friend. He said, just look out into nature and notice how like nature is incredibly abundant and not an ascetic at all. Like God is not an ascetic. Like look at this grains of sand on the beach. Look at the stars in the sky. Like in fact, there are way more stars and way more grains of sand than you ever need on the planet, and yet they're there. And so that helped to remind me that the universe in and of itself is like infinitely abundant.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, you can give in all kinds of ways. You can go to lakitchen.org. You can volunteer your time. There's talent, it's a talent, treasure, and time. Right? Yeah. So you can give in all ways, or you can give things away that you no longer need. I remember there's many cultures that if you compliment someone on something, they have to. It's kind of like they feel obligated to give it to you just because it's the way that they work.
Yeah, you prayer for people, just simply meditate on happiness. I do feel strongly like that the greatest way that any of us can give is through self-realization.
For sure.
With a capital S.
For sure.
Like I think the more deeply you realize who you truly are, the easier it is to give everything away, so to speak, right?
For sure, no question about it. So anything you want to say before we have a
No,
break?
I just want to say that we get to talk to Jenna Ferragamo after the break. She's the author of The Reset Plan, Lose the Secrets, Lose the Excuses, Lose the Weight. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning LaLaLand.
Hello, Los Angeles. I am your host and producer, Alex Worley, filming inside Focus TV's West Hollywood studio. Welcome to Empowerista, a show dedicated to highlighting female trailblazers and empowering you to turn your barriers into breakthroughs.
Hey guys, I'm Amy Packrat.
And I'm Justin Walter.
And this is What's Good, the show that's dedicated to positive, uplifting news from all over the world.
We are live
from Los Angeles. Welcome to Good Morning LaLaLand. I'm Dr. Erin.
Hi, I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jez Moyer. This is Good Morning LaLaLand, America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Now also available on Apple TV and Roku. It's going to be a Good Morning LaLaLand.
Hola, yo soy Gina Moreno y soy una reportera aquí en Los Ángeles. Para mí, mi pasión es para decir las historias de las personas que han luchado lo imposible. Todas las entrevistas aquí en Focus TV. Hi, I'm Gina Moreno, a reporter here in Los Angeles, and my passion is to tell people's stories, the stories of people who have accomplished the impossible.
Welcome back to Good Morning La La Land. We are live here with #Transformation Tuesday, and the author of the Reset Plan is in the house.
What?
Shauna is here. Welcome. I'm
thank
so
you for
excited.
having me. Me too.
Nice
This is great.
So tell us a little bit about the Reset Plan.
Okay, I wrote the book, The Reset Plan, because I have a father who's a bodybuilder. He's the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno.
Literally, the Incredible Hulk.
The original.
I mean, the OG Mr. Universe holds Guinness Book of World Records,
Very
right?
good with your research, yes. The only consecutive two-time and the youngest to ever win Mr. Universe.
So it clearly runs in the blood.
You'd think, but I was a really heavy kid because when he went back into competition when I was 13, I really resented eating healthy. And I really resented that our house overnight became a business. So I would hide food, and I thought anything that went in my mouth that nobody saw didn't exist until I was going to Lane Bryant, which is a great store, but I was 13 years old and I want to go to, at the time, Contempo or, Forever.
Contempo.
Yes,
That was the spot.
dating myself, here at Judy's. But I wanted to go and be cool, like, at Forever 21, but I couldn't fit in the clothes. So I became a personal trainer, which now I call myself a fit-to-mentalist, because now I reset people's mind, bodies, and soul. You can't change who you are, where you come from, but you can reset patterns and habits.
Shauna, what was the catalyst for you to personally reset? I mean, was there a moment?
Yeah, there was. We were on the Emmys red carpet, and I'll never forget a publicist. I have two cute young brothers, and I'm the eldest, and the publicist was like, "Can you get her off? Can you move her? Because she's just not attractive," in so many words. And my parents were like, "No, this is my daughter." But it was the first time I was like, wow, people are seeing the pain and because of my weight, what I'm going through right now. So my parents never once said to me, "You're fat, you're unattractive." They always were like, "We have a great foundation here at the table for you. When you're ready, come on down." So then I started asking, because I talk to people a lot that they're shamed by their friends or their family, and they don't want to go to them because they don't trust them. And they're like, if you're making fun of me when I'm down and out mentally, emotionally, and physically, then why would I want your help? So I came to them and I said, "I need your help," because I was tired of just living with my shame of hiding and secrets.
Wow.
It's amazing how many people live with the shame around the way they eat, around the way they feel. How do you work with clients in overcoming shame?
You got to go to your past. You got to deal with your trauma. My mom always said, Shauna, you could go to the moon, but you're going to take whatever you have inside of you with you. So I start with one of my clients that inspired me to write the Reset Plan. He was gay, and he never came out to his really religious parents. So he hid with food, and it was heavy to hide his sexuality, so no one would look at him and he wouldn't have to think about that. And I finally said, in your own time, you have to come out to your parents. And he finally did, and he's so on point. He's married now to his partner, and he's living his best truth. Now, do we all have six-pack abs? No, but it's not about that. It's about how you feel inside. And I find that your insides start showing no matter what. No matter what age you are, no matter what you look like. If you're a good person inside and you're happy with yourself, I think it shows on the
It's
outside.
so important.
Love that. Yeah.
It's interesting because I couldn't agree more, and I had an eating disorder from the time I was 17 to 20 and dealt with bulimia. It's just a different form of the same thing, right? But what's interesting is that it's so true, and I'm so thankful that you're not just, and kudos to all the trainers and all that, and we need to understand and do that like traditional trainers, but I couldn't agree more that it's got to start from within. And even my dad, who's a naturopath doctor, he could prescribe great supplements and things for his clients, but he found until they've done the inner work, they just won't take it, or they'll sabotage it in some way.
Exactly.
So when someone comes to you, how do you work that process of healing?
Well, the Reset Plan, I start with, really taking 6 days, a 66-day program, but you take 6 days, you're not on a diet, you're not restricting yourself, you really start journaling, and you start looking at, when do you eat? What's going on? Is your boss yelling at you? Are you having a bad moment? What are you eating? So you really have to take those 6 days to really evaluate, no alcohol for the first 6 days, to really be clear-minded. Then I have people work on home projects. That's big for me. Like the shame of that closet, where you're like, oh, I'm gonna throw it all in that closet, and then you walk past the closet.
The skeletons.
Right, seriously. And also I tell people to ditch the scale. That is a sick numbers game that all it does, it's like when you're addicted to, poker or something, it's that high of like, ooh, that number, I just went to the bathroom, oh, I'm a pound less. Like that makes no sense, So I have people really look inside of themselves first. And I offer I offer, my services when they're with me, even though I'm not a, a therapist, but I'm a fit to mentalist. And fit to me means focus, invest, and take action with what you want in your life.
I love that. Focus,
Yeah.
invest, take action. Wow. You've built an incredible empire and brand for yourself. We have a look at one of your videos. Let's take a peek.
I'm Shauna Ferrigno, and growing up with Lou Ferrigno means that fitness was always going to be part of my life. For the last 15 years, I've been building off of his legacy and helping people get their minds, their bodies, and their diets in shape. I want to look at your nutrition, your exercise habits, and make sure that you're set up for the marriage, not just the wedding. What kind of goals do you guys have health and fitness-wise? While Jamie's figuring out the yard, I want to figure out what's going on with Matt and Kelly's exercise habits, what they're eating, and how they're living their life. On the outside, you guys look like you're in really good shape.
I am not at the gym that often.
Yo-yoing is awful. It's really bad on your heart. It's really bad on your metabolism. It's really bad on your self-esteem. It's bad on everything. I want to create a plan to help her maintain a healthy and consistent weight so she doesn't have to worry about yo-yoing unpredictably anymore. You guys said you eat healthy. There's nothing but takeout. Oh, so this is Kelly's fault. Is she the boss? Yeah. Well, boss, this is not working. So let's reset this.
Okay.
I want him to serve up some healthy mocktails as opposed to cocktails. Yeah. I know he enjoys bartending. Yep. I want to give him a way to do that that's healthy. Yeah. These guys look healthy, but that's only because they're young and beautiful. They have some habits that are going to sabotage them in the long term.
That is so interesting, too, the perception of they look healthy, but they're really not.
Yeah, I see.
That's
I see
a
everything.
huge epidemic here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and binge drinking's a big one too. And just like you were saying, like you had an eating disorder. You may have maybe looked healthy, and people give you praise for losing weight and staying thin, and then it's a sick cycle. You know what I mean?
It's a terrible cycle.
It's burning inside, but yeah.
How did you learn all this? Was a lot of it from your father? Was a lot of it just self-education?
I love wisdom, but I started with, it's my favorite quote, be careful about the way you talk about yourself because you are listening, and I think that's a really big one for me. So it's my dad's 80% hard of hearing, and he's never heard music in his whole life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so everyone thinks I have a celebrity father, but what I have is a man that's 80% hard of hearing and just defied the odds and became this incredible bodybuilder, and he's been married to my mom for almost 40 years. And I was like, Daddy, you're gonna come out like Harvey Weinstein, like with these women? And he's like, I don't do that to people. I like to stay home, I like my family. So I have great guidelines, and I have a really supportive family, which a lot of people don't have. So they take that out on food or alcohol, and I always say, you're not 350 pounds because you like to eat, and you're not an alcoholic because you like to drink. There's something going on inside. And be your cheerleader. So it was really me having all my clients and learning through my clients, like what you guys were saying. When you help other people and you see other people, they help me as much as I hope I help
How
them.
have they helped you? What have you learned from working with your clients?
Oh my gosh, everything. Just how you can be a multi-millionaire and it doesn't mean you're happy, and it doesn't buy happiness. Or you can, you know what it is? It's shame, guilt, and not loving yourself does not discriminate. No matter what color, age, any of that, we're all here hopefully to serve a bigger purpose and serve ourselves first, no matter what.
Has that always been easy for you, though? The self-service, putting yourself at the top of your priority list?
No, people say that to me all the time because I give. They're like, what do you do for you? Because you have to fill your own self up. You guys have asked some great questions. But I do that through a lot of, walking and talking kindly to myself, and I have Post-its all over the house and mantras that I have, because then I'm a fraud if not. And also just talking through your diaphragm. I notice a lot of people like talk up here. Me, it's about breathing and really talking, because once you talk and you listen, you can feel. And that's what I try to do with my clients. And every time I have a success, it's my success with them. I'm their cheerleader.
Such a great point that you make, because so much of both addiction and eating is about numbing yourself, right? And not feeling, and not wanting to feel what's there inside. So it sounds like that's part of the process. It's like increasing people's self-awareness and their mindfulness so they can feel it and then process what's happening.
That's exactly right. Because most people don't know what's going on inside of them. So yeah, they're numbing it and they have that shame cycle. Like when I told my mom growing up, there was hunger drives. And so I would take the food and put it under my bed and I would eat it all. And then I would have that high of the sugar and then the shame coming back down and just, you know, eating again and doing the same cycle. And so I really needed to reset. And that's why I call it the reset plan, is because you can't change what's happened to you in life. You can't change who you are. I'm never going to be 110 pounds. I'm an Italian meatball, you know what I mean? And that's my dad's name for me growing up. And I'm proud of it, you know what I mean? So
we all love Italian meatballs.
Thank you.
So obviously we know that you've got to do the inner work for sure. And for me personally, it's a balance because I have a very good relationship with food, but I do have a sweet tooth. So for me, there is still a dance, even though I love myself, even though I've done the inner work, I can't, I don't have any sweets or any junk in the house at all because I will keep eating it, you know? So how do you have that dance with your clients to say, you know, not be neurotic, but how do you help them kind of get to that balance in their...
It has to be balanced, you know what I mean? You have to. And so I say, you know, it's the old tricks, like never eat out of the bag. If you're gonna have it, put it there. It's kind of like AA, like when we wanna have a drink, you're like, let me get back to that drink in about 20 minutes and then let me see where I am right now. And usually that craving goes because sugar cravings are huge. So I say, take a bite. I'm even this crazy that I put salt on things, thrown them in, like, but I also say go back to what you're writing and what you're feeling and just take 10 minutes to really write and feel what you are at that moment. And then if you want that piece of sugar, have it. You know what I mean? And you know, just don't, because if you take my Cheetos away from me, I'm just gonna be covered in orange. Like, I'm gonna have 20 bags. So, but it's really about just taking perspective in that moment because I feel like we're not in the moment half the time.
I just love that, and you make such a great point that so much of transformation, I feel, is about simply understanding. When you understand something deeply enough, the transformation begins to take on its own momentum. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah,
you know?
and being around good people that support you. You know what I mean? That really know you. Because anybody can come to me now at my age and just say, hey, I think you're an awful person. And if I don't know you, I'd be like, I'm sorry you feel that way. But but life is messy. And it's gonna be hurtful sometimes, and that's one more thing that I always do is I always make my bed in the morning because you can't control what goes on outside of the world, but when I get back, my bed is made and I go, that's a choice that I made that I could control at that moment, and I can come back to order.
Work-wise in the house, with it 24/7 work, what was that like?
It was hard because he's 80% hard of hearing, and so I was like, he was a beast when he came back. It was insane to go back and try it at 42 years old. So my mom's like, I married an actor. Like, what's going on here? And it's very narcissistic sport of sorts. But for my dad, it was because he needed to get out of an abusive household in Brooklyn, and he couldn't play contact sports. So he started building, and he looked up to the comic book The Hulk his whole life when people would beat him up. And he was like, one day, I'm gonna look like that Hulk. And he became it. And so so I let my excuses go a lot because of them.
Well, I think that's so important. You say that in your book too. Lose the secrets, lose the excuses. Excuses for ourselves. We play victim to our circumstance, whether it's a positive circumstance or negative. Give that the control rather than registering the control that's really within us, right?
It's so true. That's why I say be careful about the way you talk about yourself because you're listening. Because how many excuses do I make? Or I tell somebody, don't make that excuse, and then, you know, I made an excuse 10 minutes before, you know, so.
You know what else I find really fascinating and interesting is that, you know, the challenges that your father faced in terms of being hard of hearing and him being so sort of, consumed with being a bodybuilder and whatnot, that was an invitation, almost a call for you to develop your own emotional intelligence and to begin looking inside yourself. So in a very, interesting and sort of strange way, it was a perfect setup for what you're doing now.
It's the legacy. You're right. He's good at bringing it back, isn't he?
But it's fascinating to me.
I was thrown into a very interesting. I've only seen one Hulk series, and I literally grew up with Kardashian. I grew up with all of those girls, and I've had a job since I was 15 years old. And my parents were always like, "We have money. You don't go work." And I think that's helped me identify what I do want. You know those bad jobs that you've had, and you're like,
"Oh my goodness,
I know what I don't want for sure." You know what I mean?
Totally.
What was the first job you had?
Blockbuster Video. I'm really dating myself here, but Blockbuster Video and just people throwing the videos at me and all of that. And I'm just like, I can't do repetitive stuff for the rest of my life.
Talk about transformation.
Right. yeah. I got free movies though.
So how do people work with you? Obviously they can get your book, but how do they work with you? Do you work one-on-one with people? Do you work in groups?
I do. I'll do one-on-ones a lot, and I'm starting a lot of different groups. We have an Incredibly Fit program on Ferrigno Fit, and we've got a great, it's called the Incredibly Fit group on Facebook, and then the Reset Plan, I go and talk. I talk all over. I talk to people like AAs, prisons. I'll talk to everybody that needs a reset of sorts in their lives. Again, it doesn't discriminate. It's not just the weight. It's more about empowerment.
For sure.
Just love that.
And do you work with both men and women?
I do, and I work with a lot of men because a lot of trainers, like you were saying earlier, there's a stereotype because I've had trainers train me, and I'm like, show me your work, and so they hear my last name, Ferrigno, and they're like, have you puked? And I'm like, wow, that's not the goal. And then they're outside smoking cigarettes and doing drugs, and I'm like, this is not what your lifestyle is, and this is not everybody, but I don't need six-pack abs every day. You know what I mean? It's great to have that goal, but I'm also somebody that goes really one-on-one with a person, because when you generalize people, it doesn't ever work.
Nice.
Totally true. Looking good is great. Feeling good is even better.
For sure.
So
All
true.
day.
Because you wake
That's why
up
I
with
wanna,
yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I want to look good, so I feel good.
Right. And when Craig, he's here with, I also say to people, dress well, feel good. Wear your heels if you love your heels. Just, you know what I mean? Like, feel good. The way you walk is going to be a big statement to yourself.
For sure.
As well.
So where can people find you?
FerrignoFit.com, books on Amazon, and then Shauna at Instagram. I get silly, and then Ferrigno Fit on Instagram and Facebook.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
in.
guys. You guys are wonderful.
So
Thank
much
you.
fun. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Good morning, La La Land.
Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Simone, and this is Jasmine Moyer, and we're at Focus TV Network, and we are reporting to you what happened this week in Focus. Last week on the #Harry and Kelly Show, we had
Ryan Kendrick.
Yes. On the LA Home Show, we featured
a very special guest with her own furniture company, Ms. Farrah Abraham.
On Purpose with Brittany Zonker, we had
Acro Yoga with Andrew Seeley, Cupping with Dr. Lee, and also Eric Bigger.
Speaking of Andrew Seeley, he was on Good Morning La La Land.
He did, and I tried Acro Yoga here on set for the very first time.
I think we have some footage of that.
Oh God.
Speaking of Good Morning La La Land, we had a week full of guests who was on that show.
We had a ton of special guests. I'm so excited to announce we had Farrah Abraham on the show. She brought her daughter, Sophia.
So cute.
We also featured JJ Jurgens, the creator of Tom Girl TV, as well as James Arthur Ray. We also had a great demonstration by Andrew Hernandez, who is a special instructor for Strong by Zumba. And then I also had the incredible honor to go on location to the Gibson showroom for the final broadcast from their stage.
Speaking of the Gibson event, you were at a lot of events last week.
I was. We were also celebrating Concern Foundation's 44th annual block party at the Paramount Backlot. And if you can't tell, we have a lot of fun here. Let's take a look.
COO and founder of Building Construction Group, Scott Harris.
Sorry, it's co-founder.
Oh, fuck me, Natalie. And co-founder of the Building Group, Scott Harris.
Thank you, Building Construction Group.
Oh shit, let's do it again.
Once you go chocolate, you don't want to stop it.
God.
I'll stop.
Why are you making it so complicated? She hasn't gone in and out and in her shirt again.
This is so hard. What else do I need to do?
Andy, can we see the monitor? We don't know. I don't know what my hair looks like. I have to. It's not fair.
The heavyweight, the UFC middleweight. I totally fucked that up. Hang on a second.
I wish my boobs looked like yours. Where are they?
On last week's episode of #Harry and Kelly, we had
Ryan Kendrick. Yeah. I almost called him Kendrick Lamar.
Why are you not taking like outtakes?
Yeah, why aren't we
this is
taking
so
this?
funny.
Thank you all so much for the laughs and being community powered. That was This Week in Focus. Welcome back to Good Morning La La Land. We are so excited to welcome Craig Cochran to the show, the founder and creative director of our own custom clothing line.
Yes, that's
Look
right.
at that.
Thank you so much.
The show, my friend.
Thank you.
So handsome.
We want to give a special thank you to Kent Speakman for the introduction. He connected us to you. Tell us a little bit about your journey to creating this business for yourself.
Yeah, so long story short, I was actually living in China when I was probably 23. And because I have such long arms, you know, China, they're well known for, you know, making clothing, they have thousands of fabrics. So, because I have a big chest, I look a lot like Lou Ferrigno. So nothing would fit me. So when I was living in China, we had some clothing made, and when I came back to the US and I was wearing that clothing, people would always ask me, where'd you get that? Because it was one of a kind, because you choose your fabric, you choose the design, you choose the fit. So, you know, fast forward 3 or 4 years, I thought maybe I could make a business of this, because I'm obviously good and choosing fabrics and design and helping people look good. So again, fast forward another couple of years, I started telling people this is what I do. I make clothing and help you look great and feel great. And it just started from there. And now we have clients, a lot of clients are just via text now, a lot of repeat clients like, hey, I need a blue suit or, you know, whatever, something cool, send me images of fabrics. I mean, that's technology today. It's so cool, because once I have their sizes, it's just I mean, I have clients in Russia, he orders shirts and suits from me just via text. It's a
Custom
great
suits
tool.
on demand.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, you've got some of the most beautiful fabrics here.
Yeah.
Well, you've got 70 of these?
I've got about 7 of these books, and then a whole nother collection. Like, it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
People are like, I don't know what I want. So what a great idea.
What's really hot right now? What colors? I mean, obviously traditional is always good, but what's hot? What's the new trends?
Well, here's, I don't focus on what's in fashion, because what's in fashion for a 20-year-old might not be right for, you know, myself. So what I love to do is bring the fabrics to the clients, and as they look through, they'll see something that catches their eye that you would never have thought of. You know what I mean? Like, you can go to a store and look and everything's right there, but as you flick through, your client might say, oh my God, I love that. I got to have that. So I usually go, you know, client by client. If someone asks me what's in fashion, I'll ask them more about their lifestyle.
It's really interesting to focus on really creating a personal statement and a personal style as opposed to following a trend.
Right.
And you obviously have become an expert in doing that and helping curate that for people.
Sure.
What is that about you and your eye that gives you the ability to do that?
You know, I get the branding thing and the big, you know, Tom Ford, the Xenias, but I always knew that I have a good eye with fashion and fabrics, and I can make these for, you know, for myself. So I don't, you know, a Gucci guy today, you know, you have 20 Gucci guys and they all look the same because they're all wearing Gucci. And I get that, they want to be represented by Gucci. But I never had that, because I've always been into fashion, and I've always wanted to create my own statement. You know what I mean? Even though, like, someone might like a Tom suit, and I love Tom Ford, you know, big lapel, so I can, you know, create that look.
So,
I mean,
so let's talk about, like, did you always work for yourself? And because there's some people who go, oh, I could do that, I could go out and make suits for people. But to get clients, to manage it, to do all that, it takes a pretty advanced mindset. Were you in business your whole life for yourself?
No, I was basically a hairdresser back in the day. I was always about
great hair.
Yeah. I was always about image and helping people look good and feel good about themselves. So
you had that Rolodex of all those clients to begin with.
Well, no, it was a bit of a challenge to get clients, but it's always, you're always looking for clientele, you know what I mean?
Well, he's a walking billboard, so I'm street and say, hey, I want to do what you're doing.
Right.
You
See, Rob, this is your calling.
He looks great. He knows what he's doing.
I take notes off this guy.
You know, you mentioned on your website about first impressions, and they are everything. And you said 95% of a person's first impression is the clothes that you're wearing.
Yep.
Why is that?
Well, when you meet someone, you know, they're representing themselves. The minute you see them, if they're in t-shirt and shorts, they're like the more of a casual game, you know what I mean? And I get that. They might be real estate agents or whatever. They're trying to downplay it. But I think when you wear something that makes you feel great, it just helps you, it just gives you a great feeling, and you feel more confident and a little bit more powerful. When you put on nice clothing, it just gives you a feeling. You know what I mean? If I put on a t-shirt and jeans,
it changes the perception of yourself and the perception of the people have around you.
Right.
Whether it's from your clothes or your accessories, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I would go as far as saying, just because you're wearing a suit, don't have that big ego, like, I'm super powerful, I'm better than you. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people get intimidated if you're wearing a just to downplay it.
Rob doesn't wear socks with his suit.
What do you feel? Because I'm past that, I'm not working in banking. Combination, like shirt, a shirt, blazer, and pant combination.
Beautiful guest that had on a pants and a shirt, and they matched. So it wasn't like a jacket that matched pants, but it was brilliant.
You got to make it fun. You got to feel. It's got to feel right.
Well, it's all about those glasses. I think that it
really
it's
is.
like all about the glasses.
Because as I was saying before, once I have clients and they're blazer, I want a pink hop sack blazer. Let's say, like people who love, let's say Gucci again, right? They want to feel that. Like I like them to come up with their own statement with what.
How do you help people do that? Because I think that's one of the greatest things that I learned too, is just being able to sort of we wear what we've always worn.
Sure.
So how do you help people find their signature style?
So like I was saying before, the best way to do that is when we meet, I show them a whole array of fabrics, and they'll go through and they'll literally say, "Oh, I can't stand that." Like they'll tell me, and I'll get an idea after a couple of minutes of what they do and don't like. And sometimes, again, they don't know. Like they might see that and be like, "Oh my God, that's so me," and that gives me a good indication of what they're like as a person. So I'll show them more fabrics that go along with that. So some people will hate that, some people will love that. Do you know what I mean? So you, as the client, really you define yourself and find yourself in the fabrics, because it will speak to you. You know what I mean? That's how I even do it. Depends on the season and how I'm feeling. You know what I mean?
So how do people work with you? Where do they find you? How long does it take to have the suits made?
It takes around 5 weeks. And then how they find me? A lot of word of mouth. Craig.cochran.design on Instagram, or craigcochrandesign.com on the internet. And but it's a lot of word of mouth, you know what I mean?
Or look for that hair on Robertson Boulevard.
I do get asked a lot about the hair, because I used to be a hairdresser, so I know the tricks.
So you have to have good hair.
You have to have good hair. But just having good hair.
And some volumizing mousse
well,
helps.
You don't have any. Well, you cut it off. But it's about blow drying.
Oh, that's a secret.
That's the secret. Because listen, if I come out the shower and it's wet, it doesn't just dry like this. You got to dry it up. You know what I mean? It's all. So I love that, and helping people. Like, so many guys will stop me and say, "How do you make your hair look like that?" And I just tell them, "There's no secret. Well, there's one secret. It's a hairdryer, and that's it. Go upside down, flip, dry it upside down to get the volume." Then
I think that that actually speaks to another point, which I think is sometimes overlooked when it comes to fashion or aesthetics in general, is that they're great conversation openers. Right? That the hair, the clothes, the way that you look, the way that you show up, not only makes you feel good, and then sort of elicits this response from other people, that then is reflected back to you, so it allows the conversation to happen. But also sometimes just a signature piece or signature look in and of itself is a conversation opener.
Absolutely, that's very interesting. A lot of the times that I get approached, it's about what I'm wearing. Oh, beautiful dress. I love those shoes. And it creates the conversation. Oh, tell me about you.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all your time.
Of
I would love to somehow, my mind goes to, how can we get the suits that the guys aren't wearing anymore and donate them to maybe some men that can't afford some nice suits? So maybe we can have that conversation.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you for your time. Thanks so much.
We'll be back tomorrow. Good morning, La La Land. It's a whole thing.
We're talking transformation from the inside out today with our guest, Shauna and Craig. Thank you guys so much for coming. We haven't really identified a question of the day, so I'm going to make one up. So I guess my question is, for you, what's been the most important change or transformation that you've experienced? Shauna, what's that?
There's so many.
So many, right?
Just feeling good, but biggest transformation that I've made is really making my life a service to other people. It's, not making it just about me. So that's been a big one because I get so much out of it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it's transferred everything.
Love that.
What about you, Craig?
For myself, I would say it's very similar again to your answer, because I feel like when you feel good, like when you work out, it makes you feel good. When you wear nice clothing, it makes you feel good. So I feel like it's all about feeling good, even the hair. You know what I mean? If you feel like you look the best you can be, then that's what I try and do every day.
It's such a profound point, so there's lots of research out there, and where I mentioned that, like when I was young, I thought the right thing to do was to be in service to other people. So I would always, like all the time, try to give my life away, my time away, and try to do things for people. And it was making me miserable, really miserable. And so I never understood that. I never understood when people said that. And then as I got older and I began to understand different things, I realized I was giving from completely the wrong place. And then once I found a way to be happy first, then when I gave, it only enhanced my happiness. Right. And so a lot of the research that is shared today really has found that the most charitable people on earth, the most generous people, are actually happy first, and they give from that place of happiness. And it's a completely different experience. So what you're saying is so powerful and important.
It's so true, because a lot of people are looking for happiness outside of themselves. Do you know what I mean? And you're never going to find it outside.
Tried that.
No.
Didn't work, man.
When you give from a place when you're not happy, you become resentful of the people you are giving to, even though they might not be asking, but you're giving under the assumption and expectation that that is what you were meant to give to them, and then you resent it.
Right.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And also finding like where that mission is. There might be one foundation you're working with that just completely speaks to you. Another one, it just doesn't align with whatever you're interested in, right? So, and it can be whatever. So, I do think service can come in so many forms. It doesn't have to come from a nonprofit. It can come from however. So cool, you guys.
Very cool.
I love your story.
You guys are wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to think about practicing the art of allowing too, right?
Yes,
that's been the biggest transformation I've recognized in my whole life. This is a very new, recent thing, but the act of showing up to be my best self, and that being my responsibility, not how I'm showing up in everybody else's life, but showing up for myself, and then allowing life in the universe to unfold this destiny for me. And that's been amazing, right? It really has. It's been very freeing. It's created transformation really from the inside out, I think, in my life.
I absolutely love that, Jasmine. Like, and I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you guys have read or heard Abraham Hicks, but that was actually one of their posts today, was essentially like, we want you guys to all eliminate, like, earn and achieve from your vocabulary completely, because it's a scarcity kind of mindset where you're trying to seek or accomplish or acquire something that's outside of you, but when instead you replace it with allow, and you're allowing something to come out from inside of you. And I just love that you said that, Jess.
Life will blossom and transform, and then you can give. You can find the mission that speaks to you. You can work with with the missions or with your church, whatever it is that is calling to your soul, because you're allowing it to be.
But we have to ask the most important question. So, do you still cut hair?
Seriously. Everybody wants to know.
Well, I mean, I obviously I know how, and I'll never forget. But I do. I have a couple of clients.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Just wondering if there was you or someone that you recommend, because I'm sure
$50,000
I'm sure
a cut.
lots of people are out
Let
there
them know.
going, where do I find a cut hair? Yeah, that's so great. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you for being here. We are Good Morning LaLaLand, America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can also listen to your favorite interviews as a podcast on iTunes.
All right, we're waking up the world together, you guys. Please like, share, and comment, and support the people that you feel are rising together. So have a great day.
Happy Transformation Tuesday, everybody. It's going to be a good morning, LaLaLand.